Hi, my name is Laurel Druk, and I am president of the Marin Women's Political Action Committee this year. Thank you. If you don't know what the Marin Women's PAC does, we are an organization who works to focus to increase women's participation in public office as well as elect more pro-choice candidates. Good. First off, I'd like to thank all of the volunteers that are here tonight and our board members that have donated their tireless time, treasure, and talent. Thank you also to the Endorsements Committee and the Programs Committee, and a very special shout out to Caroline Brewster, our endorsement co-chair, as well as Barbara Matas and Christina Waldeck, who will provide the refreshments later tonight. I also wanted to give a thank you to Damien over here from Marin TV, who's going to be recording the event tonight. As you may know, there are over 35 contested races in Marin this year. We are interviewing candidates from 21 different races, and 55 candidates submitted questionnaires, and we'll be interviewing them over the course of 3 nights. Last night, we interviewed candidates from 5 different races, and then tonight, I believe there's quite a few because there's candidates or races where only one candidate submitted their questionnaire. We wanted to say that this is our first year ever endorsing in so many different races over 3 nights, because it's a testament of our dedication to supporting so many different levels of elected officials and ensuring that there's that pipeline to higher office. We are so proud to see so many new faces in the audience and want to keep building on that momentum. If you are not a member of the Marin Women's PAC, you can join at any time. We have a rolling admission, and everyone is welcome to join because reproductive freedom and women's rights are everyone's best interest. And this is obviously an exciting year for women. So I'm going to pass it over to Caroline Brewster, who is our endorsement co-chair, and she's going to review the process for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel, and thank you everyone for being here. Some of you, this is night 2, so lovely to see you again. And just to echo Laurel's sentiments that we are really excited to expand the consideration of MWPAC's endorsement this year by 30% from ever before. And we appreciate all the candidates and all their supporters for participating and making this all possible. So a little bit of business. So all the candidates that we are interviewing this evening have completed the MWPAC questionnaire and stated they unequivocally support a woman's right to choose without any restrictions. So that is something that all candidates have already self-identified with, and that the questions that they will be asked, there will be 2 questions as well as an opening statement, and those will give us a little more insight into local issues and also women's issues that are important to each level of election. A point of note that to receive an endorsement, you must receive Hi, sweetie. You must receive over 51% of the eligible vote. And so everyone who attends tonight and is it's okay if he wants to come up. Sorry. Everyone who's an MW. Everyone who is. Yeah, thank you. You want to read. Everyone who is an MWPAC member and has joined 30 days ago is eligible. Yeah, sorry about that. And I have 2 trustee assistants here tonight. And if Marshall leaves, then Laurel knows where I am. He wants to watch trucks. So there's important notes about the caucus that I will. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Yes. We're all trying to manage a lot of stuff in our lives. Thank you. So at the end of the night, we'll have a caucus where members can stay and speak only positive things on behalf of the members. If you do not want to vote, if you do not want to vote your vote counted in a particular race, you can check off the abstain option. And if you'd like to vote but not have no endorsement in that race, you would just check off the no endorsement check off thing. Let's see. You will also notice that the presidential race is on the top of the ballot. This will remain on for all 3 nights. Each night's ballot includes the candidates being interviewed during that night. And as you might notice, the order in which the ballot matches the order in which is up here tonight. So we did that on purpose so that you could identify candidates that you may not know. After the panel portion, we talked about that. We encourage you to listen closely to the candidate statements and answer tonight and complete your ballot accordingly. I'm honored to introduce our MC, Tamara Hall, who is our Women's PAC treasurer, and she's also on the Larkspur Planning Commission. And also our 3 panelists tonight, Susanna Mrazek, who is our vice president and serves as a vice chair on the Marin County Women's Commission. Caroline Foster, who is a senior at St. Ignatius High School and the Women's PAC student intern. And Stephanie Andre, who is an active MWPAC member of our communications team and is a newly elected Larkspur City Council. As Caroline mentioned, each candidate will come up. They will start with a 2-minute opening. They will answer their questions with 2 minutes to answer and 1 minute closing. And we're gonna run a really tight ship tonight so everyone can get home to their kids. Thank you so much.
All right, it's time for TM Union High School District to come on down. Are we missing Mr. Chaudhuri? No Chaudhuri? Oh yeah, let's move the podium. All right, couple of housekeeping items. When you're speaking, turn on your mic. You're not supposed to touch the mic or move it. I believe that's still the case, Damien, yes. And so there's a button at the bottom. You'll know it's on when the green light is on, and if you need to lean in so that we can hear you, please do that. Damien might tell you that he needs you to lean in or speak up as well. So we will be starting with the 2-minute opening statement. Since Mr. Chaudhuri is not here, we'll start with Ida, and then we'll go down, and then the first question will start with Jenny, and then the second question will start with Amos, and we'll remind you when we're in that process, it's not really a test. And then the closing statement will start with Nicholas. So, Ida, opening statement.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here on tonight, and I am so elated with the Marin Women's PAC and supporting women and our issues. Hoorah! For those of you who do not know me, I'm Ida Times Green. I'm a lifelong resident of Marin City, a 4th generation graduate of Tamalpais High School, and a former school board member. I recognize the importance of education. Having served 8 years as a board trustee with the Sausalito-Marin City School District, I bring a proven track record of building consensus to achieve collaborative outcomes. I work well with others and respect different perspectives. I am a goal-oriented and comfortable taking risk. I'm a strong believer in the transformative power of public service, and I see it as my calling. I was born to serve. Serving on the school board is a true commitment, and I see the role as being accountable and responsible to all students. If elected, I will be the first to serve from the Sausalito-Marin City School District and the first Black woman to serve on the TAM Unified High School. Not that that should matter, but it's a point of reference. It is something that dates back decades of not having representation on that board who looks like me. I'm ready to go. I'm all in, and I would appreciate your endorsement. Thank you. Did it in 2 minutes.
Okay. Hi. Thank you for having us here tonight and for supporting and encouraging so many women to run for public office. As a first-time candidate and someone who's a bit nervous, I especially appreciate that encouragement. My name is Jennifer Holden, and tonight I'm seeking your endorsement for the Tamalpais Union High School District Board. I'm a mother to 3 children, 1 who just graduated and 2 who attend Archie Williams High School. I love our schools and have been an active volunteer for over 13 years, serving in various roles from parent associations to superintendents roundtables to the Racial Equity Task Force, and I'm currently serving in my 3rd year on the Archie Williams Falcon Foundation, where we bridge the gap by funding programs and classes not funded by the state. In all of these roles, I've worked with teachers, students, community members, and I've had the privilege to learn more about their needs. I'm running for the school board for the same reason that I've volunteered for so many years, to be of service to the community that I love and to make the schools the best that they can be. If elected to the board, I will be guided by 3 core principles: a focus on improving academic performance and creating enhanced educational experiences for all students with evidence-based strategies and giving teachers the resources that they need to be successful. Rebuilding trust with our community by fostering increased transparency and communication between the board, administrators, teachers, students, and community members. And of course, I would address our school's needs in a fiscally responsible way by prioritizing spending on programs that directly impact students and learning. I have been endorsed by elected officials such as council members Rachel Kurtz, Steve Burdo, and Brian Colbert, former Mayor Joan Lubomirsky and Mayor Scott Kandel, the Marin professional firefighters, school board trustees, educators, and community members alike. I would be honored to have your endorsement as well. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you to the Marin Women's PAC. I'm excited to be here. My name is Amos Klausner. I live in San Geronimo in a little further west Marin. I first got involved with the school districts in San Geronimo as a member of my local community's site council. From there, I was appointed to the Lagunitas School District's Bond Oversight Committee when we floated a facilities bond. After that, I ran for the Lagunitas School Board and became a trustee. I sat down immediately with our chief business officer, and I worked with him to understand the district's income sources, its spending categories, its expense types, and where the district can find efficiencies. It also coincided with COVID, which was a difficult time. We had to make some very difficult decisions, and we heard a lot from the community about those, as I'm sure you could understand. Today, I'm an elected member of the Marin County Committee for School District Reorganization. The county committee studies and makes recommendations in the area of transfer of territory between school districts, and it has a direct impact on taxpayers. I'm also a proud coach at Archie Williams High School of the mountain bike team. I work with anywhere between 40 and 60 students from November to May, and I'm happy to say that my daughter, who is a sophomore at Archie Williams, is also the NorCal League champ, which is a real proud moment for me. My goals, if elected, are to focus on district spending. That's my number one priority. I'm also interested in making sure that if Measure B passes, that we have strong bond oversight. I, of course, will focus on academic achievement. It's important for my family, and I think it's important for all families in the district. And I also want to make sure that the district renews its focus on researching and taking advantage of state and federal funding, which is often forgotten and is a great opportunity, especially as we look at bond Measure B on the ballot.
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening at Marin Women's PAC. My name is Nicholas Andreka. People call me Nick. I'm 53 years old. I have 3 children. I live in Corte Madera. I'm in a committed relationship for 6 years. I'm a small business owner in San Rafael. I grew up and attended public high schools in Santa Barbara, California, and Wilmington, Delaware. I earned a bachelor's degree in European history and Italian studies and a master's in business administration at the University of Pennsylvania. I moved to San Francisco in 1996 and served over 25 years in leadership roles in technology and financial services. And with this experience, I bring a strong focus on fiscal responsibility, technology investments, and support for our students, teachers, and staff. In 2016, my family and I moved to Corte Madera, where my oldest child enrolled at Redwood. In 2018, I was asked to join the Tamalpais Union School District's Fiscal Advisory Committee, where I learned about the financial aspects and governance of the district. I was honored to receive a certificate of appreciation for my service and was inspired to seek a board position. In 2023, I started a property restoration business serving our community, and I hold an active California contractor's license. I'm deeply committed to ensuring that we all have healthy environments in which to learn, live, work, and spend time. I have a great passion for learning and education from myself, my family, and our community. All 3 of my children have attended or are attending school in the district. I am committed to serving for the best possible educational opportunities for our local high school students, balanced with the needs of our community. I am running for the Tamalpais Union School District board member in order to uphold and demonstrate the school district's mission statement and graduate profile. So as a candidate for the board, I've reframed the mission statement and graduate profile. I commit to being a critical thinker who is caring, collaborative, knowledgeable community member. I commit to working to improve a diverse and dynamic society. And I commit to demonstrate the values that we expect of our students: collaboration, critical thinking, intercultural competence, communication, creative and independent learning, and character. Thanks.
I will point out that if you do get the stop sign, you get to finish your sentence, but you can't make it more than about 10 words. All right, so the first question, and we'll be starting with Jenny.
Last week, we experienced yet another school shooting at a high school in America, which makes 24 already this year. What are your plans for ensuring the physical and emotional safety and well-being for all students?
Hi, thank you for asking that question. That is an extremely timely and poignant question, and it's actually something that I spoke with the Marin firefighters about when I interviewed with them. I think it's important for the board to work with them, to work with our police department and our firefighters, as they know the best way to keep everyone safe. One of the things they told me was that the board has never worked with them, and I hope, if I'm a trustee, I hope that I can change that. There were a few things that they mentioned. One is that they would like the doors of classrooms to no longer open out, but rather to open in. That was a fire safety issue. There have been, since 1972, there have been 0 deaths in schools from fires, but there have been over 10,000 school shooting deaths. So it's a huge issue. They had several suggestions, and I think the most important thing is to work with the experts on that. Thank you.
One minute or 2 minutes?
You get 2 minutes. Oh. Do you want to continue?
No, that's okay. I thought we were
Thank you. So yesterday was the anniversary of 9/11, which is an important reminder, because after which we heard a lot of, if you see something, say something. And if you go to a music concert, you'll often see a sign that reminds you. And to distill it down to what exists at the school level, it's really important that we identify students who are having difficulties. I mean, this is really our core responsibility as parents, as educators, as administrators. It's a type of early intervention that is extremely important in situations like this. If we can't identify kids who are having problems and are having difficulties with interpersonal relationships or connecting to their fellow students, then we end up with a situation where we're surprised. And so what I would do as a school board member is to make sure that the district redoubles its efforts to have discussion with students themselves to help them understand what it looks like when a kid is having trouble, and to give them an open forum and a place where they can discuss that privately with an administrator or a teacher, so that that can then be reported up the chain, and we can try as best we can to deal with these issues before they become something that we're all quite scared about.
It is indeed unacceptable sort of for us to continue to have this violence in our schools. And I do think that partnering with local law enforcement at each of the communities where the schools are, as well as also partnering with counseling and the teachers in the schools themselves to identify potentially at-risk students who might be feeling some of these signs of being left out and so forth. I think that's important, as well as ensuring that all the students are aware to raise issues that they hear about, threats they hear about, topics on social media, all of those kinds of things like that. And I think we have addressed some of those in the past that I've seen in the last few years. So I hope that we continue to have that diligence to make sure that we're avoiding these acts as much as possible.
So when that incident happened, I'm sure, like many of you, it brought a sense of sadness. And I just could not believe for myself what was going on with that young man, that he had to go to that extent. You know, when I was growing up as a child, a gun was used for hunting. My grandfather, my dad, they went out to hunt. And we ate the kill, but it was not as rampant as guns are today. And gun safety matters. It matters to the greater community. Those are conversations that need to be held specifically in families who own guns with your children. And I truly would love to find out from the district and work with the district as to what is our emergency plan. And yes, we definitely need to be working with emergency personnel like firefighters in our sheriff's department and in our local police department, because what is the plan? Kids that are hurting, when you hurt, you do things to hurt others. I did my internship on the Tamalpais High school site in the wellness center. And so I saw lots of kids come in despondent, hurt, dealing with mental health challenges. And that was a sacred space, because I'm talking to a kid from across the table. That's a sacred space. You need to just divulge all that's going on with you, because I'm listening. And so how do we get the results to get you the help that you need? And when they would say to me that I do not want it to leave this room, only if it was a case of harm to self or others would I bring it to the attention of their parents.
The $500 million TAM Union school bond did not pass by a narrow margin in March. It is back on the ballot this November at a reduced size of $289 million. Please explain your position on the school board, including your thoughts on the process that was undertaken to bring it before the voters.
The process to bring it back?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm the only candidate here who will tell you that I actually voted against Measure A in the spring. I felt that the measure was too big. It was too bold. I don't think that the district did its due diligence in finding other funding sources. Examples include something like the California Energy Commission, which offers 0% loans to schools for solar and battery projects. And then I think it's AB 247, which will be on the ballot in the fall, which you'll vote on it. It could provide up to $10 billion in school facilities funding. These are things that I think the district should have considered when they floated Measure A. I think one of the reasons that it failed was because people are getting a little tired of taxing themselves. We have an affordability crisis in the county now. The district came back with Measure B because they had to. If they didn't put it on the ballot again this year, they would have to wait to 2026. That's a state law. So we see it again. They've slimmed it down. They've tried to make it more equitable across the different schools within the district, and I think that that's a good start. I think it could have been slimmed down more. I think that there were opportunities with potentially $21 million coming to the district if AB 247 passes when it's on the ballot in the fall. Reaching out to the California Energy Commission and again looking for state and federal funding sources. I think it could be even smaller. But given that it is what it is, I am going to support it because ultimately the schools do need the support. They need the help. The facilities need to be modernized for the next generation of students.
Yes, I do support Measure B, and I do think the process to build the current version of Measure B is improved over what they followed for the Measure A. And I think the investments that are needed in Measure B are desperately needed by the district at each of the schools. And if we don't continue to invest in the schools to rectify the issues that have gone on and to make sure that we're modernizing for the future, the funding will have to come out of the operating budgets of the school district. Where we would have to take funding from other programs. So I think it's really important for the community to invest in the physical facilities of the schools to make sure they're healthy, to make sure they're modernized, they don't leak in the winter and all those types of things. So big supporter of that. And I'm glad that there was a better process to build the support for Bond Measure B. So that's all.
It's on me. So I supported Measure A in March. I was one of the people who endorsed it. So my picture was on the literature that came to your homes. And I supported it in thinking of the measure that, first of all, for the needs. It's a high dollar amount, and nobody likes taxes. But we do want safe buildings for our children. And with the 5 schools, there are some desperate needs with some of them. Tamalpais is over 100 years old. Archie Williams absolutely needs a little love. And so this particular measure now is going to go towards need. It's a presidential election, so a lot of times, if you're floating a bond, it's a good chance that it may pass. But I believe that the voters were under the mistaken impression that the dollar amount of the bond was too large. And it's because the opposition campaign had intentionally misrepresented the fact that it was going towards something enormous like $1 million for the cafeteria. Well, we all know that Wolfgang, the best chef, would have worked in that cafeteria because it was not the case. And I believe that the community was not engaged in the way that they should have been. There could have been more communication. The bond lost by about 500 votes or so. However, I believe that if this bond does not pass, it is going to affect our students in ways. Because your HVAC system, that system has to be up to date and operating. We don't want some catastrophe to happen to our kids because we didn't float a bond. Thank you.
Thank you. I support Measure B. I think facility upgrades for our schools are great for the students, the teachers, and the entire community. What I love about Measure B is that they listened to community input and they came back with a much slimmer plan, 44% reduction, basically focusing on the must-dos, the needs of the schools. And they also looked at school parity. So they looked at the percentage of students and the percentage of money that was going to that school, which they didn't do with Measure A. So I think this one has a much better chance of passing. And I just think it's important to make sure that you upgrade your facilities and keep them safe for everyone. I like that there will be an annual audit, that there'll be a citizens oversight committee, and that no money will have to be diverted. If passed, no money will have to be diverted from instructional spending. As far as AB 247, I completely agree with Amos, what he said about looking for other funding sources. The issue with the AB 247 is that you can only access it if the bond measure passes with our community. So absolutely, I agree, we need to go after that money if that passes too. But I do think that this bond measure needs to pass, and I'm happy to hear that we all agree. So thank you.
I've lost Laurel. Since we have one less candidate, we are way ahead of schedule. Way ahead of schedule. So you want to do a third question? All right, you guys up for that? Nicholas will be the one who starts.
Okay, great.
While statistically the majority of teachers are female, overwhelmingly the administration is male. What steps will you, and have you taken steps to ensure that women's voices are represented at the top levels of decision making in schools and local government?
Well, I haven't been elected to the board yet, so I haven't done anything to help women in leadership roles in the district yet. I can speak to my history of working in corporations in terms of hiring and coaching and developing women leaders, often to take my place when I moved to another role. I think 80% of the time a woman took my role. And at least 80% of the time I've reported to a woman leader in my corporate experience. So I'm very familiar and comfortable and enjoy working with women leaders. And I would look for every opportunity possible to do that if elected to the board. So I was raised by a single mom. I've got daughters. I've got a girlfriend. So I'm very committed to women in the workplace and in leadership roles. So that's all I got to say on that.
Where would this country be without women? So it's organizations like the Marin Women's PAC, Emerge, and others that are in the forefront doing this work, encouraging women to use their voices in a very positive way, right? Because for cities, counties, states, whatever, there are policies, and our voices should be a part of the policy changing. And so for me, I'm a former Emerge alumni. I stepped into a race very boldly a couple years ago for State Assembly, District 12. Didn't make it. It was like riding a tricycle up a hill, but I stepped into the space. I stepped into the space knowing that there hadn't been someone who looked like me in that sitting in Sacramento, I don't think ever. And thank you, Damon. Damon is representing us well. I was toe-to-toe with Damon Connolly. If you don't know who he is not a lightweight. Let me just put it that way. And so for women, we need to be bold enough to say, yes, we belong here too. Yes, our voices matter. And yes, I'm going to tell my niece, my great niece, granddaughter, whoever, you need to come along too, because women voices, we matter.
So I'm happy to say that the Falcon Foundation, which I'm a part of, is a majority woman. And so it's really great to see so many women in that leadership role making decisions for where we're spending the money and how we're going to enhance our schools. I think an important thing is mentorship at schools. I think we need to approach girls early and teach them that there is so much opportunity for them. And as you said, the teachers are majority women. There's a chance to mentor them right there. The other thing that I do on a personal level, and I've taught my own daughter, is that you can do anything you want. And at 40, I pivoted from my career. I completely changed and I started a business. And I think the best way to lead is by example. And I think I did that for my own daughter and for everyone around me. Thank you.
First, I want to say that many of the opportunities that I've been given in my career were given to me by women, and I recognize that and I appreciate it. Today, I'm a director at one of the nation's leading consulting companies, and I work with a very diverse group of people. The majority of my team is women. I've been directly responsible for hiring women, and our firm alone has made hiring more women a key part of its goals for the future. On a personal level, because you mentioned that most teachers are women, I live with one of them. My wife is a 27-year veteran of the Mill Valley Public Schools. She still teaches today, 3rd grade, over at Strawberry Point. You can stop in and say hello. As a trustee at the Lagunitas School District, I was responsible for elevating the principal, who was a woman, to the role of superintendent. It was a great decision that we made. She recently retired. I was also involved with the process of hiring or elevating another woman there as the assistant principal, who is now the principal at Lagunitas, and the district has come in and they've hired another superintendent who is also a woman. And I like to think that in some small way I had something to do with that, but I know that it certainly wasn't me alone.
I was thinking Nicholas hadn't spoken yet. All right, we're not going to do any more questions. 3 is enough. So it is time to do your closing statement, and Ida, you get to start.
Thank you so much. I just want to say, she's like 1 minute. I want to say thank you, and I appreciate for those of you who are on the dais right now, because you're here for the same reason I believe for myself, and that is for the betterment of our students in our schools. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a strong believer in the transformative power of public service. It's my calling. Many in the county refer to me as following in my mother's footsteps. If you don't know her, Betty Times. She was my inspiration. And so in that respect, I embody her passion, and I'm ready to serve all students across the TAM Unified High School. I hold a master's degree in social work, and I understand how to work with people with empathy. I have endorsements from the Democratic Central Committee of Marin, North Bay Union Council, Supervisor Stephanie Moulton-Peters, our 3rd District, Steve Burdo, Brian Colbert, of San Anselmo Town Council, members of many nonprofit organizations, teachers, board trustees, friends, and definitely my relatives. I would appreciate your endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you again for having us here tonight. I told you earlier that I was nervous, and I am, and I forgot my closing statement, so I'm just going to go off the cuff here. I think it was great to hear from all of these candidates. I think everyone, as Ida mentioned, is here for the right reasons to better serve our community and our teachers and our students. That's something I've been doing for well over 13 years. When I'm asked to do something, I do it, and I do it with my whole heart. Something that I think I bring to the table is that I listen, and I listen to people that have different opinions than I do, and I take what they say seriously. And I think that's really lacking today, I think it's something that's very important. The communication and transparency issue is a real one, and I think it's something we need to resolve. Our community has lost a lot of trust in our district, and it's something we need to rebuild in order to do things like pass bonds, to enhance academic programs. We need to rebuild our trust, and thank you very much, and I would be honored to get your endorsement.
Thank you again to the Marin Women's PAC. I'm often asked, because we do a lot of these now, what the most pressing issue is in the district, and it's hard to distill it down because you can tell by the questions that were asked, and obviously you have your own thoughts. There are a lot of things that the district needs, but in my opinion, it all comes down to the budget. Every solution is there, but every solution has a price tag. And I think that we have a responsibility to our students, to the community, to make sure that we are assuring that every dollar that we spend is well spent and that it directly impacts the success of our students. I'm not willing to listen to people say it's always been done that way. I demand that administrators come to the board with solutions that reconsider, renegotiate, or reinvent existing spending patterns.
Thank you very much for having me tonight. I've enjoyed my time and spending time with the other candidates. I feel a strong sense of calling to serve my community. The board has 5 major governing responsibilities: setting the direction for public school in the community, establishing an effective and efficient structure, providing support, ensuring accountability to the public, and demonstrating community leadership. These are all responsibilities that I've had in my corporate and nonprofit career, and I believe that with my background, education, experience, and engagement, I am well prepared to fulfill the role of board trustee of the Tamalpais Union High School District. I can't make it any longer, Tamalpais Union High School District. Thank you very much.
That takes up a minute. Right?
That's right.
You forgot to ask for our endorsement. Okay.
What's that?
I said you forgot to ask for our endorsement.
And I would very much appreciate your endorsement. Actually, I was toying with the idea of telling you that really I think you should endorse both Janie and Ida, as why wouldn't we endorse women for roles in leadership? So if you'd like, I'd be happy to defer my endorsement request to them.
Okay, so he's giving all his votes to Jenny and Ida. That's what I heard, right? Is that what you all heard? All right, so quick housekeeping note. You guys are all done. Thank you. Applause for you guys. Thank you all for coming.
Made it easier for the next group that's coming up.
That's right. That's right. Mr. Chad Hurry, you cannot vote for him tonight. So because he was not here. So that is one of our requirements. So you can cross him off or just don't vote for him. If you vote for him, it won't count. So. And we're early. That's the good question. Is Sausalito-Marin City School District is next. Are you all here? I'm looking for Danielle Diego. Danielle Diego, raise your hand. No? Okay. Rebecca Little. Okay. Lester Parham. It must be you because you're heading to the stage. Well, let's wait because we don't have Rebecca and we are early. So we're going to. All right. So how does Larkspur feel about going next? You're both here.
Yeah, I think we're 15 minutes early. We have to stick with the timing because some people will come just to hear specific training.
Oh, you think?
And if we jump ahead to Larkspur, we may discount people who are interested. Okay. I think waiting for the timing, let's just take a little exercise.
All right, everybody get up and stretch for 15 minutes. Yeah. Danielle, we are going to start. So I think you guys have been here for the process. You get to have a 2-minute opening statement. You'll be asked a couple of questions. You'll alternate who starts first. So Rebecca, since Danielle's not here, you get to give the opening statement first, and then Lester, you'll get asked the first question.
Okay, I would like to just open by thanking you for inviting me here. This whole political process is completely new to me, so I'm learning new things every single day. I'd like to start by asking you to think of the color blue and the color yellow. Now take that out of your head and think of the color green. What we need in our educational system is less dichotomy. And I think that the Marin City Sausalito School District is inherently sitting in a dichotomous system. Just the name alone, it's a mouthful, Sausalito-Marin City School District. Perhaps we should change it to the Southern Marin District. Then it really produces more of a we instead of a us versus them, no matter where you sit. So that's my opening thought on that. And I see too much of that in education between gen ed and special ed. As a child, I was born before Title IX passed and was an active individual and wanted to participate in sports and was not allowed to do so. So I am a strong advocate for equity and equality for women and individuals of all different abilities and backgrounds. My passion is creating opportunities for students with disabilities, and that stems from my own background. I was an adapted physical education teacher in the schools. I later became a faculty member, and then through the leadership of women ahead of me that encouraged me, I eventually became a department chair and was encouraged to become a dean. So those individuals really helped shape who I am as a person and helped me learn about leadership in a variety of ways. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you guys for having me this evening. My name is Lester Parham. I am a longtime resident of the Sausalito area. I've worked for Sausalito-Marin City School Districts for the last 9 years. I've lived here for 9, and that's a statement to what I love to do. I love to work with kids, and if you would have told me that this district was being desegregated when I got here, I'd have told you you're crazy. Born and raised in Oakland, California, but to come to a place where it was desegregation going on and the work in it, it kind of intrigued me to be in one of the richest counties in America. And we every time I'm on a board meeting, all you heard them argue about was money. So that caught my attention. And not only that, I would be the only one on the board meetings. And we're talking about making $1 million decisions and the community's not involved. So that kind of caught my attention. And not only that, again, only getting 3 minutes. Getting 3 minutes and they stop you on the board meetings, it's terrible when there's so much to talk about. And in a city like this, all the way up to the TAM district, we're talking about, we just had the board members from TAM discussing the same problems that we have at the middle schools and elementary schools. It's a continuation of problems that start at the lower level and we let them continue to go up top. So I think me being on the board will not only connect us back to the community, which I believe the community is an important factor on the board. I think the board connects to the community, and which connects the community and the board back to the school district. Without that connection, the kids fail. We do a lot of frivolous spending on things that does not come back right to the kids, and I've witnessed it and watched it, and I really don't like it. So the only way I see to do something about it is to get on this side of the board. I cannot do anything on that side. So I want to be on this side so we can make a change. The kids can do better. If we help them out at a young age, we don't have to worry about the problems that we have with kids as they get older, in their early teens, their early 20s. So we have to fix the problem now, and that's why I want to be there.
Great, first question, and Lester, you'll be first.
Last year, 11th graders in Marin County reported using alcohol or other drugs in a 30-day span at a rate twice as high as the rest of California. Meanwhile, drug overdose remains the leading cause of death among Marin residents ages 55 and younger. What is your plan for addressing underage alcohol and substance usage?
Man, that's a great question. Thanks for asking it, because like you say, this is one of the areas where, like, just recently, I think I seen some on the news where the fentanyl overdose is very, very high in Marin City. They rarely talk about it. So I think one of the first things we have to do is discuss it. There's a big problem here. There's a big problem with kids vaping at the schools. I worked at a middle school where they vaped every day, and we complained about it, and we were pushed to where, oh, well, the vape machines cost $1,000, $1,500. Oh, that's too much money. So if we're not willing to spend money to save our kids, then we won't be able to save our kids. Like I'll go back to this over and over again. We're living in one of the richest counties in America. We have to stop blaming it on money. Money is not the problem, as we all know. The problem is we can't see eye to eye to understand that the importance is the kids. And once we understand that, I think that'll be the greatest thing. Schools are a business, and we have to look at them that way. And if we don't look at them as a business, we fail. Our kids are our commodity. We have to take care of them. We get funding to take care of the kids. If you get funding to take care of kids and you don't take care of kids, you should not be in that seat. And anybody that knows people that does that and allows them to stay in the seats, you're no better than them. And that's what we're in, a community like that, where it's like the man said earlier, it's been happening, so nobody cares. That has to stop now. Thank you.
Thank you for that excellent question. And it's a very complex issue. I think that we absolutely need to educate kids about drug and alcohol abuse and use. And I also think we need to support kids. We need to make sure that they can access Narcan, so that if they're going to a party and they see friends that are overdosing, that they can provide supports and help make sure their friends make it through and survive it and make it to school the next day. So I think our community health programs need to really connect with the schools and provide health, I'm not sure what the technical word is, but health support services. Not to go into the schools and say, don't do this, don't do that, because students are going to experiment with things. That's what young adults do. But they need to know how to do it in a safe way, how to support each other. If you see a friend and you know that they have had, 2 or 3 drinks and they're drinking too much or they're partying too much, you know as a young friend of theirs what you need to do to support them, who you need to call, or how you're going to get them home. So strategies for students to maneuver through the challenges of being a youth and being in the experimental age and trying new things. So I'd say community health education and supports for students in the schools so that they know what and how to do to respond effectively with their peers. So thank you.
The Sausalito-Marin City School District has one of the most racially diverse student populations in the county, and also some of the widest income gaps. How will you foster greater integration and ensure that every child receives a quality education?
I think the first start is just what you said, telling the truth. You're in a district where no one's going to speak about that. We know it, but like I said before, we won't speak about it. So I think while me being there, we're going to discuss it. Like, we'll have to bring it up. We can't get further until we get through that. That's just a given. You can't get further until we get through this racism out here. It's here, it's here. And not only that, I'll give you a direct connection of it. Sausalito-Marin City School District, the MLK Academy, they failed the kids. They failed the kids for the last 18, 20, 30 years. And not only that, when they get to TAM, it's still racism. So it's a continuous thing. This has to stop. If it don't stop, there is no way through it. We have to admit it. Not only admit it, have to go through it together. We have all these different meetings about how to teach adults how to be adults. And I'm talking about African Americans. Right after George Floyd, we went through 1,000 meetings. We're teaching grown adults how to be adults. That's a problem. So until we get to the point where we can admit what we are and who we are, there's nothing I can do or you or anybody on this board can do anything about it. It starts at the homes. The parents have to teach the kids a better way. We can't go off of the past and continue living that way and allowing the kids to be that way. We have to shut it down, and it starts with us. We can try. I can do my best to talk about it, to bring it to everybody's attention. But we have to do it as a group and as a whole community, not just the middle school, the high schools, and all the way up to the adults, grandparents, all the way back down. So it takes a whole village and a community, like they say. Thank you.
Helps if I turn the mic on. The question of really supporting the diversity in the school, I think, is a huge one and one of the biggest issues that the school is facing. And there are a host of barriers to that, and you mentioned some of them already. But I think when we look at equity, we need to look at addressing really our bias. What are our unconscious bias we may not even be aware of? Let's have conversations about that. Let's talk about that. Let's put the elephant in the room and talk about it. That's the only way that we can start to break down those barriers. What other barriers are the students facing based on their racial, ethnic, ability, diversity? Is it an academic barrier? Is it a social barrier? Are there emotional and mental health barriers? I think every one of those needs a different strategy in terms of how we approach it. But sometimes it's a case of motivational barriers. Is it the student or the teacher that's struggling with motivational barriers for supporting the child, or the teacher being motivated to support the kid? It can also be perceived lack of skills. If a student feels like they lack the skills, they may not be motivated to try, or they may, have challenges with that. And the same thing happens, I think, with teachers unconsciously. They may feel like they have lack the skills to deal with particular issues, and so they kind of avoid it. So I think it's a really complex situation, and there's a whole lot of approaches that can be taken, but starting with let's break down our own unconscious bias, look at how we are as a community and a society with Marin City and Sausalito, and let's try to create a we instead of a us and them.
We have time for a third if you want to do a third one.
Okay. On the ballot this November is Measure G, a Sausalito-Marin City School District sponsored parcel tax for school programs. If elected, how would you direct the use of funds for the parcel tax measure?
That's something that would take time. That's a question I probably couldn't even answer right now, because it's we're already in the middle of building a school that may take 2 years. So to say I direct some money right now, I'd be lying to you. And after watching the convention over the last 2 days, I don't want to do that, right? So I don't think I can answer that question correctly. We got 2 years to where we're building ground on a new school. We just desegregated to segregate to desegregate. So it's kind of hard to talk about spending that type of money right now. I know that it's on the budget, on the ballot and all that. It's going to happen. Some things are going to happen that you have no control over until they drop into your lap. And I think right now, with the situation we're going through at the school, that's where we're sitting at right now. Thank you.
As a community member, I have never seen the Sausalito-Marin City budget or how the money is allocated to different categories, so it is difficult for me to say. I think a close analysis and some accountability and transparency needs to happen, and it might already be there. I just haven't had the opportunity to see all of that. I do know, though, that from what has been shared with me is that the district used a lot of its reserves last year to balance its budget, and that can have drastic effects for a district. So I would assume that if that measure passed, some of that money should definitely go into the school reserves. So all you need is a couple of catastrophes or some high, special ed costs that are expensive for the district that have to be paid for, and, it doesn't take much to need to dip into those reserves. So that is, from what I know, that's where I would say definitely the reserves. And then as far as specific programs, I couldn't answer it at this point.
All right, so we're gonna wrap you guys up and let you each have a closing statement. Mr. Parham, you get to go first.
All right, thank you guys again, Marin Women PAC. I really appreciate even the chance of maybe getting an endorsement from you guys. It's a big deal. When I first read it, I was like, oh, they're not going to get me. I'm a male. And I kind of read the fine print. They say, well, as long as you support women. Oh, I support women, so I'm going to do this questionnaire. And here I am. You asked me 3-4 years ago what I did, I tell you crazy, right? But here I am, and I'm excited. I'm going to have fun. I want to win, but I'm okay if Miss Little gets it. We've had a crazy 2-3 days. This is it's interesting, but I'm for it, and I want the endorsement, and I want to fight for this county. I want to make Marin better while I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lester. And it's been a pleasure being with you all week at these crazy events. I'd just like to close by saying that my campaign is focused on families and children and community building first. Second, on teacher supports, whether that's small class sizes, instructional needs, professional development. Maybe that's, unconscious bias training. I don't know what the needs are, but those are things that need to happen. And lastly, fiscal responsibility. So I would just like to say that I want to thank you for letting me be here today and be a part of this process. Like I said, I'm learning every day about how campaigns run, and I never thought I would be in this position. But I do have a passion for education. I've been in it for 30 years and worked on multiple different levels, and would love to be able to share some of that knowledge with the community and support the board. So thank you. And I hope you will endorse me.
Yes, very good, very good. And again, as a housekeeping item, you cannot vote for Danielle Diego, or if you do, it won't count. She's not eligible for our endorsement. So next up, in a few minutes, we're a little early, will be Larkspur, but you guys can hang out for 4 minutes if you want. All right, are you guys ready? We're going to start at 6:48, 2 minutes early. Catherine said we could. And the process, you guys, I know have been here. 2-minute opening statement. We'll alternate answering the questions that are asked. You get 2 minutes to answer a question. And watch Vita and Lizelle. I don't want to have to jump up in front of you. Turn off your mic. And you'll get a 1-minute closing statement. So, Sarah, you get to start first with your opening statement.
Thank you. And thank you, Marin Women's PAC, for having us tonight and for your very important mission. My name is Sarah Margulies, and I'm running for Larkspur City Council because I'm passionate about our beautiful community, and I want to ensure that all our residents and businesses thrive while we work to preserve and protect its natural resources and unique history. If elected, my top 3 priorities will be to implement smart, affordable housing. We need to address the housing shortage through strategic implementation of the 2040 General Plan's housing element and enable our workforce to live in Larkspur. A ripple effect of which leads to my second priority, which is to lead on climate and conservation, approaching all topics through an environmental lens. I will seek innovative ways to support new CEQA standards to reduce carbon emissions, such as collaborating with the Transit Authority of Marin to implement new algorithms for reducing congestion and, by extension, greenhouse gas emissions. I'll advocate for smart meters with the Marin Municipal Water District to monitor and conserve water consumption, and I'll collaborate with the city's chief building official to incentivize and/or mandate new construction to drive a greater percentage of electrification and reduce carbon footprints, especially for larger installments. I'll improve civic engagement and inclusivity. I'll engage with all residents, but given my Greenbrae location, I have a pulse on the voices here and feel it's important to have a Greenbrae representative on the council. I'll identify ways to highlight and celebrate diverse identities at work and in our communities, and will spearhead resilient neighborhood programs that set up friendly neighborhood incentives with a goal to bring neighbors together to reduce household carbon emissions. So in short, more community, less carbon. You can learn a lot more about me on my website, sarah4larkspur.com. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for hosting. I'm Lana Scott, and I'm running for the 2-year Larkspur City Council seat vacated by the late Kevin Carroll. I've lived in Marin for 17 years and worked as a certified disability management specialist. You can learn more about me at www.lanaforlarkspur.com. When rent control became an issue, I decided to become more involved in local politics and policies. No one asked me to run. I just jumped in to help single mothers, retirees, and young adults living in Larkspur to be able to continue to live in Larkspur. I wanted Rent Ordinance 1067, which was on the ballot in March, to pass To help it pass, I attended council meetings, knocked on hundreds of doors, and made hundreds of phone calls. It passed and is currently in effect. I would like to see it remain in effect. Larkspur is a wonderful place to live. I would like to be on the council to ensure that it maintains its uniqueness, retains its historical significance, while creating affordable housing, including ADUs and JADUs, all compatible with the general plan's climate action plan. I am here to seek your support and endorsement. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
First question. What do you see as the opportunities or challenges to Larkspur with the SMART train station and the Golden Gate Ferry terminal? Is there more that you would like to see, and if so, what?
You're first.
Okay, would you repeat the question?
Sure. What do you see as the opportunity or challenges to Larkspur with the SMART train station and the Golden Gate Ferry terminal? Is there more that you would like to see, and if so, what?
Yes, I'd like to see the free SMART train continue for those over 65. I would like to see more stations for e-bike charging. Perhaps certain discounted fares during commute time for those working either in Sonoma or San Francisco, in addition to what their employers may provide. More parking for SMART and the Golden Gate Ferry, or discounted parking. I would like to see transit-oriented housing that would allow people to bike, walk, or drive to SMART or the Golden Gate Ferry. And I'd like to see the SMART board do a better job of promoting SMART, besides just offering free fares for those over 65. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. And so with regards to the opportunities that I see from the ferry and the SMART train, I see a great opportunity, given that we have a significant transit hub in Larkspur, to build some affordable housing. And there are two very good sites in that area, actually, that are ready to go. They're remediated. One of them's remediated and ready, and the other one is just a level lot that's ready. I see an opportunity for the developers perhaps to partner with the municipal transit system to provide some kind of incentive or collaborative offering to either renters of those places or buyers of those places to encourage them to leverage the transit if it makes sense for them versus using cars to move to their jobs if they need that level of access. Some of the challenges I see are the ridership is not back up on the SMART train, and it's coming up, I believe, for a reinstatement for some funding, and we need to get the ridership up on the train. I think there are also challenges in getting to that station from Larkspur. It's not easy necessarily. There's a lot of traffic on Sir Francis Drake. And then there are challenges for people coming from the SMART train to get to the ferry on time, especially if they're not, quick mobily. And so those are some of the challenges that I see for it.
With more than half of residents renting in Larkspur, what is your position on Measure K, the ballot initiative to limit rent increases for and evictions of tenants of some rental units? What actions will you take to protect tenants in Larkspur?
That's a great question. And Measure K is a complex measure. It's complicated. And, I think one of the problems with it is it's not an affordable housing policy, and that I am no on Measure K. I don't support Measure K. I believe that the economics of a rent cap are unsound and will have detrimental consequences on the city of Larkspur, and that the measure will be a deterrent to developers. So instead of actually helping to create for affordable housing, it will have an opposite impact. In theory, renters won't move because they want to capitalize on their savings. And so what happens then is the unaffordability gets passed on to future renters, because you have people staying in homes that maybe they inhabited when they had a full family living in the house, but the family's now gone, but they're staying there to capitalize on their savings. And then, it will result in devaluing property values in Larkspur. And another problem with that, of course, is then we lose out on real estate taxes, which is the largest line item to fund our budget in the city of Larkspur. So the second part of your question was, what will I do for?
What actions will you take to protect tenants in Larkspur?
Well, we actually have an ordinance that was passed that actually caps our rent at 7% or 5+ the CPI. So I think we already have taken an action in Larkspur to try to help protect our renters. In addition to that, I would have to think about that. I don't know that I have another answer for you now. Thanks.
Okay, actually, I don't think Measure K would deter affordable housing from being built, because anything built after 1995 is not under rent control. So I don't think Measure K would deter that. I am not for Measure K because I think it presents issues that could end up being mired in the court system. I could see it being legally challenged on many fronts, and my main concern is that if Measure K passes, it would negate the current rent ordinance we have in effect, Rent Ordinance 1067, which was thoroughly vetted and took a year to develop by the City Council and was passed by the voters. Measure K, if passed, would negate Rent Ordinance 1067, would probably end up mired in the court system, meaning Larkspur would probably be without a valid rent control ordinance, and the large apartment complex owners would then revert back to AB 1482, the state rent law that capped rents at 10%. So I am not for Measure K. Another reason, the ordinance states if anything in the measure is unconstitutional or deemed to be invalid, it would be removed. Well, we know it's not that simple. It would end up, again, being legally challenged. So that's my reason for being against Measure K, and I'd like to see Rent Ordinance 1067 stay in effect.
Thank you both. No more questions? All right. So it's time for your closing statement. You each get 1 minute, and Lana, you get to go first.
Okay, my goals are to maintain Larkspur's historical significance, to help create transit-oriented affordable housing, including ADUs and JADUs, and to meet housing needs within Larkspur's Climate Action Plan. My objectives meet the major housing goal put forth by the State Assembly, namely that every Californian should be able to attain a decent home within a suitable living environment. I ask for your support and endorsement to help me achieve my goals for the residents of Larkspur.
So I have been blessed to live in Green Bay for 14 years, the last 12 of which I've been on the executive team at my current company, Moto Labs, as a VP of Sales and Customer Success. I've worked to solve the complex problem of digital transformation across higher education campuses, and I understand how public organizations operate and the intricacies of working across multiple stakeholders to build consensus and implement solutions to drive efficiencies. This experience has prepared me well to work across the city and county operations and identify cross-functional resources for collaboration that will help us to deliver solutions to benefit all Larkspur and Green Bay residents and businesses. I am results-driven and servant-oriented leader. Having recently scaled back to 60% at Moto, the time is now for me to focus on my leadership, problem solving, and budgeting and management experience to serve the people in the city of Larkspur. I'm passionate about saving the planet, and I hope to receive your endorsement this evening. Thank you.
Perfect wrap up. Thank you both.
Thank you.
We're a little bit ahead. Our next race is Marin County Board of Education Trustee Area 1 and 4. And one of the things that we have is a change in our ballot because we just received a message from Barbara Clifton Zarate, who's was running for Area 1. She says, I have reached out to the county elections office to pull my candidacy if possible. I had the fortune to meet Lee Del Pan, and she is the right person for this position, and she has my support. Thank you for the opportunity. Have a wonderful evening. Lee Del Pan did not submit a questionnaire, so they're not going to be on the panel. So for Area 1, we will just have Adam McGill. And so no votes for Barbara Clifton Zarate. We're going to ask them, we were putting them all, the two areas together to ask them basically the same questions. So that will still continue, even with Ms. Zarate's withdrawal. So we apparently are missing two candidates. So Ms. McCarthy, you're the star of the show.
Okay, well, I'm Nancy McCarthy.
Yep, you got to turn your mic on. You get 2 minutes for your opening statement and 2 minutes for questions. There's a button. Do you see it?
Did I got it? I've got it.
You got it.
My name is Nancy McCarthy, and I have lived in Marin County for over 40 years. I've raised my two sons here, and today, this morning, we added a new member of my family. My son, Drew, had his brand new baby boy in San Francisco. So that's where I spent my day today. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful experience bringing new life into the world. I have to say that I was a member of this organization. I see some of the original members, you know, of the National Women's Political Caucus for many, many years. And I just can't believe that we're all still here doing the same thing for reproductive freedom again. It just seems unreal. And I can just say thank goodness for organizations like this that just never let go of the issue. But we have choices now. I am an attorney in the community, and I have practiced law in the area of civil rights and discrimination matters for my entire career. I spend my life day in and day out at work representing people who have been protected class members who have been treated poorly, including women in many cases, including starting one of the major pushes for breastfeeding options for women in this county about 12 years ago, when women were shoved into bathrooms to be able to express milk. I want to serve on the Board of Education because I believe I have unique skills to assist them in the equity issues that they're facing, in the new programs that they're facing for ethnic studies, and I have great history of collective bargaining and in all the kinds of legislation that the school boards are dealing with, in addition to other things. Since I have time, I guess I'll be able to talk about them too.
What specific strategies and actions would you pursue to address the persistent achievement gaps between different student demographics in Marin County, particularly students of color and those from low-income families?
I think that there needs to be an individual approach. I think that when there is an effort to just sort of homogenize everybody, that you lose the attention to the individual. I see this with special needs children as well, and one of the major concerns I have with the county, who has the responsibility for dealing with those children, is that there needs to be more of an individual approach. And I am concerned that there's not enough of an identification of the individuals that are having the difficulty. There are children who just happen to be members of a protected class. That doesn't mean that they are suffering from poor treatment or poor facilities or poor teachers. And I think that in order to really to get to the root of the problem, there needs to be a real focus on identifying the students who need the assistance and getting the assistance to them directly. And in that regard, there should be more on-campus programs that have support, so that you have many of them in some of the schools, but there should be uniform throughout the schools. Every single school should have a support facility, a support program, a support after-school program that is going to take care of the needs of the students in order to bring them up to the level of everyone else. I don't think that there's any other way to attack it, based on what I've been able to review.
Do you believe that free access to female healthcare products should be implemented on campuses across Marin County? And if so, how will you support access and distribution?
Absolutely. I support that. That is something that I would expect the Board of Education to be supportive of and to pay for. I cannot imagine not having that available. I must confess, I apologize. I didn't know that it wasn't available. Is it true? Is it not available now?
I don't believe so.
I was under the impression that it was. I went to one or two of the school board meetings, and my belief was that was provided. And I can tell you right now, if that wasn't provided, and that isn't provided, I will certainly advocate for that. This is the first time that I heard or learned that it isn't available. And so I'm fully supportive of that action taking place immediately.
We're going to ask the same question again that we asked an earlier panel, because we feel like it is an important question, so we're going to continue to ask. And that is, while statistically, the majority of teachers are female, at the administrative level, it's very male top heavy. What steps will you or have you already taken to ensure women's voices are represented in local government and decision-making at the C-suite level? And I'm specifically talking about at the superintendent level and in administration positions, principal positions, making sure that women are filling those roles.
Well, since I've not been involved in the school district before, I haven't done anything in that regard, but I can tell you now that I have represented women in my practice who have been denied promotions to C-suites, and I have advocated for them very effectively. and have gotten them considered and into those positions when they were denied that. That took a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of litigation, but I'm extremely familiar with all the laws that apply to equal treatment. Extremely familiar with them. In fact, have worked to write some of those for the, used to be the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, now it's the Civil Rights Commission. So I've always been very involved in that. So I know what needs to be done. I know what's right and what's fair. And I believe that there are, I see that there are many women in the pipeline for C-suite positions, many superintendents, many principals that are women. In fact, I think that probably Marin County is a healthier number of women in the pipeline and in higher positions than many of the other counties that I've seen. But I can say that where there are qualified women or women in the pipeline that should be moved up, I would be very supportive of them being considered. I'm not quite sure exactly how the Board of Education works. I don't know what their rules are, but I can tell you right now that I'll probably be able to figure them out pretty quickly, and I'm committed to supporting women's issues as I have been my entire life and have worked not just politically, but from 9 to 5 or 9 to 8, 5 to 6 days a week, doing just that.
Thank you. Well, you get to do your closing statement. You get a minute.
My goals in seeking this position are to try to make uniform the ethnic studies program that is now going into effect in our schools based on the state law. Now there's going to be an actual curriculum. There have been issues about whether or not one school wants one thing, one school wants another thing, and it's raising the issue of racism or difficulties with the program such that they're being looked at. And I am very familiar with the new law since it's been passed. It has eliminated affirmative action, and there are entities that are suing school districts, suing governments, etc., when their programs are not done the right way. Same way with the equity programs, the DEI programs. I'm very familiar with how they should be done in order to avoid lawsuits by a Mr. Bloom, and that's why I want to come to the school district. I also believe that I've got the experience having worked on the expenditure over $500 million in bonds for all the schools in the district, and I think that that's given me experience over 12 years to know how the schools operate. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. So, as you know, Mr. McGill is not here and Ms. Canby is not here, so their votes will not be counted. And so that brings us to intermission, which is supposed to start at 7:40, which is 20 minutes from now. So we're just going to have a long intermission. Hopefully there's fun stuff out there to eat and drink. I don't know. Okay, everybody who's in the lobby that wants to be in here needs to come in. And we are going to start up again, and we have San Rafael Mayor, San Rafael City Council District 4, College of Marin Board of Trustees Area 2, College of Marin Board of Trustees Area 7, Las Gallinas Sanitary District, and Miller Creek School District. So I'm looking for Kate Collin, who's already up here. I have Rachel Kurtz. I have Crystal Martinez. I have Stephanie O'Brien. I'm looking for Barry Nitzberg and Franco Ruggeri.
Here's some candidates.
Woo! Yay!
Hi there.
All right, so yes, I'm going to teach you all the mic.
Wow, we all have different. Oh my God. So everyone gets some questions. Are we going to ask them?
The green light will come on.
Green light.
And there we go.
We're going to ask them all different questions. I think we ask different questions, right? Because they don't. Yeah. I think we have different questions for all of them.
I have the same problem. All right, Damien is back. Let us know when you're ready. we need one more questioner. Wearing her awesome Kamala shirt. You ready? All right, so we are going to let you all start with a 2-minute opening statement, and then you will be asked a series of questions by our lovely panelists. You will each get 2 minutes to answer the question. We will alternate everything. So Kate will get to start with the 2-minute opening statement, and then Rachel will get the first question, Crystal will get the second question first, and then Stephanie will get to do the 1-minute closing statement first, and we'll rotate. And if you get it wrong, we'll just laugh.
And just to confirm, we all have the same question.
I believe you all have the same question. No?
No, that would be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I was really curious. This is going to be fun.
Threw me for a loop.
Okay. So Kate, you get to do your opening statement.
All right. Well, the Marin Women's Political Action Committee focuses on supporting local women candidates, and 11 years ago, I sat here for the first time trembling and nervous as hell as I ran for my first elected office as a council member for the city of San Rafael. Fast forward to today, and with the encouragement and support of many of you here, I can now say it has been my honor to serve as San Rafael's first woman mayor since I was elected in 2020. The first 2 years of my term were focused on successfully navigating through the pandemic, and I'm proud that today San Rafael has a balanced budget of $211 million, and in the past year we have brought in over $50 million in direct and indirect grants. I am seeking re-election because I have the skill set, strong partnerships, and thick skin required to navigate the next 4 years as mayor. I share the values of MWPAC, from everything from supporting reproductive rights to doing what I can to uplift the women around me. I know I don't do this work alone, and I'm grateful for the opportunity tonight to be considered once again for your endorsement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Happy to be here this evening. I can't believe it's already been 4 years. Some say I'm crazy about being in public service, but I call it a passion. I love the work I do and serving the community I live in. The work I do on the San Rafael City Council aligns with my personal values of equity, dignity, and fairness. When people describe me, they say I'm a collaborator, strategic, and transparent, all those jargon words. That really means I talk a lot, I ask a lot of questions, and I don't hide my true feelings. I'm okay with that. This is what you get. This is the next chapter of my life. In my career, I've always been very successful, and I enjoyed my professional choices. I worked for 25 years in the for-profit sector, and making really good decisions about how to increase that company's bottom line. That's what it's about. I've also worked in the nonprofit sector with a focus on raising money for that really important cause. And now I am committed to public service that combines the best of those two worlds, being fiscally responsible and serving the most important cause, our community. 4 years ago during COVID, when I ran my campaign for city council, I had to wear a mask, pin with my face on it, and although I knocked on a lot of doors, I had to run back to the sidewalk and wave from a distance. Also, everything was on Zoom. That year, I got one endorsement. It was the Marin Women's PAC. That was it. And it was so important to me. And it still is important, and that's why I commit my time to also working on this board and serving with these women. It was really invaluable. And I just fast forward to today. A lot has changed, but the one thing that hasn't is my focus on the whole San Rafael community. And I know the importance of talking to the community and meeting them where they're at, and I'm looking forward to your endorsement.
Good evening, and thank you to the Marin Women's Political Action Committee for the opportunity to seek your endorsement. My name is Crystal Martinez, and I am an appointed trustee on the College of Marin board, and I am running for a full term in District 2. I've called San Rafael home for 20 years, where my husband and I are raising our teenage son, and I care deeply about the future of this community. As a local public servant with the County of Marin, I've gained invaluable experience collaborating with community and navigating government systems. to achieve meaningful change, and I'm committed to transparent communication, problem solving, and making a real local impact. I bring extensive experience in community engagement and advocacy from my roles as former chair of the Marin Women's Commission to my work on organizations like Marin Court-appointed special advocates, the Museum of the Native American, and Junior Giants at Pickleweed Park. These experiences have given me a deep understanding of the diverse needs of our county, and I remain committed to fostering equity and inclusion. Education is personal for me. Community college was the stepping stone that allowed me to balance family, work, and education, and I'm proud today to now have a bachelor's and a master's degree. And now I'm passionate about paying that forward and helping the next generation thrive through accessible education options. As a trustee, I've worked to develop community college-specific competencies by participating in trainings offered by the Community College League of California. In addition, I've participated in the selection process for our current superintendent president, who was invested today, Dr. Jonathan Eldridge. And I serve on the board self-evaluation subcommittee with Wandine Trainer. And my top priorities include offering flexible locations and schedules for courses, promoting community college as a first choice option, re-engagement of former students, and exploring affordable workforce housing for staff and faculty. I am grateful for your consideration, and I'm seeking your endorsement.
I'll begin my opening statement by telling you what a wonderful trustee she is. She's been amazing, and I'm very proud to be serving with her. I have served Marin County as in an elected position for 23 years, the past 13 years at our communities college, the only publicly funded higher education institution in Marin. My career focus for the past 22 years has been community college facilities, specifically to support the underserved. Over my tenure at COM, we have transformed both the IVC and the Kentfield campuses, and we've created multiple workforce development programs, such as the Compass program, the CNA program, and the Fire Foundry. These are bringing living wages to residents here in Marin. There's so much more to do, especially at IVC. I'm going to continue with that focus, but I want you to understand that I have represented the entire county for my tenure the last 13 years. I am now an area trustee, which means West Marin and part of Novato are going to be my specific focus. But I will continue to serve the entire county because I think this is such a community gem, the College of Marin. We need to have more people understand what a valuable education this is. My son graduated from College of Marin in 2020, unfortunately the height of the COVID, so his graduation was less than thrilling, but he went on to a very nice career, to finish his education at the University of Colorado at Boulder. I'm very proud of that education that he received at the College of Marin and what we are able to do for students, and I want to continue that work. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My mother was an early activist in the modern women's movement beginning in the late 60s, when I was just out of my teen years. She was a chicken rancher, a journalist, and then for 14 years, a career counselor at Sonoma State University, where she worked tirelessly to smooth the paths of women who were entering college and the workforce later in life than others were. I think of her every day. As I navigate the process of campaigning to retain my seat on the Las Gallinas Valley Sanitary District Board, knowing that the values she modeled, equality for women regardless of race, age, religion, or family status, became my own values. As a district director, my goal is to ensure the health of our community through environmentally sound wastewater collection and treatment and by addressing the effects of climate change. Data show that more women than men accept the science behind climate change, that women are more likely than men to promote green consumption, and that women are more likely to be willing to invest in solutions that will benefit future generations. Women are also more likely to suffer the results of climate disasters. I'm asking for your endorsement because we are allies in the effort to build and maintain a healthy community measured not just by the absence of disease, but as the World Health Organization defines it, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, which includes reproductive choice and access to reproductive health care. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I want to start by thanking the Marin Women's PAC for allowing me to be here tonight. It's also quite an honor to just be up here with these incredible candidates. Really is. As a first time running for anything, it's quite an honor. My name is Franco Ruggieri. I am an appointed incumbent who has been in this role for 3 years, now running for a full 4-year spot on the Miller Creek School District Board of Trustees. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss my passion for serving on the school board and the impact I can continue to make in our district. As a trustee and current vice president of the board, I've had the privilege of working on a variety of initiatives that directly impact the quality of education in our community. My focus has always been on ensuring that every decision we make aligns with the district's goals of fostering a positive, inclusive, and safe environment for all students. From budget allocations to safety protocols, which allowed me to be endorsed by the Marin Professional Firefighters Union, I bring a strategic, thoughtful approach to each discussion, ensuring that the needs of students, teachers, and families are prioritized. I'm also especially involved in our district's elementary schools, where I regularly collaborate with teachers, staff, and administrators to address challenges and implement solutions that directly benefit these students. I sit and hold office hours on campus. I make it a point to visit classrooms, attend meetings, and listen to the concerns and ideas of our educators. My hands-on approach helps me stay connected to the real issues facing our schools and ensures that our board's decisions reflect on-the-ground needs of the community. My professional background in product management at a large company in San Francisco also helps me bring a fresh perspective to my role on the board. I'm experienced in driving strategic initiatives, problem solving, and leading cross-functional teams to deliver impactful results. These skills translate directly to the work that we do on the board, whether collaboration, innovation, and strategic planning are essential to ensuring the continued success of our schools. Thank you again for the opportunity to share my vision and my commitment to continuing to serve the community. I look forward to working together to make our schools even stronger.
Thank you. So before we start questions, I just wanted to explain why we have so many different offices on the days for those who aren't aware. They are all in contested elections, but their opponents chose not to submit questionnaires or did not meet our requirements if they did. So they are all here hoping to get our endorsement, but they're the only ones eligible for our endorsement. So just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. So questions, and I think, how are you guys going to do this?
It's going to be group by group.
Group by group, okay. So which group are you guys going to start with? Santa Fe? Okay.
All right. Homelessness is an urgent problem throughout California, but is most concentrated in higher density population areas like San Rafael. Please describe your approach and any specific policy actions that you would take as mayor or city council member to address homeless encampments in your city.
Rachel, you're first.
Okay. Thanks. For 2 minutes to solve homelessness. Yeah. This is such an important issue for us. Obviously, if you look at San Rafael, we are one of the most impacted jurisdictions in the county, and we are working on so many different levels. We know at the end of the day, housing is needed to solve homelessness. But before we get to housing, we have to address the fact that majority of the people who are homeless right now are suffering from mental illness as well as substance abuse. So when we talk about housing, we have to talk about supportive services with housing. And we can't just talk about housing as what we might think of housing. There's going to be levels of different housing, whether it's congregate housing, which means living with multiple people together. I'll use tiny homes as another model. and then moving through the spectrum. We know there isn't a one solution fits all around homelessness. We're working very closely with the county on their support. We've been very fortunate to receive $6 million in grants to now set up an interim shelter program that will include 24/7 security as well as those supported services. I serve on the county's Homeless Policy Steering Committee, where we work on providing funding for our service partners, and I've served on our subcommittee around homelessness. This is something that is top for us as a whole council all the time, and we need to continue to do more, and there will be a time when we solve homelessness. Homelessness didn't happen overnight. It's not going to be solved overnight, and we need to continue applying every tool and every strategy that is out there and learning from others how best to solve this problem. It is so unfortunate. Nobody wants to be homeless. Thank you.
So we're going this way. Okay. So everything that Rachel said, and so the MCCMC Homeless Committee that Rachel is now serving on, I actually started that when I was a council member, recognizing that San Rafael cannot solve this problem alone. It's both with other jurisdictions as well as stakeholders. And I want to reiterate, encampments are terrible for everyone. And when we talk about it, I want to recognize that they're terrible for the people in them, and they're terrible for the impact on the surrounding community. And we can both be compassionate and we can be frustrated at the situation that we have. So yes to housing. Ultimately, that is where people resolve homelessness, is in housing. If you don't have enough, which we don't have here in the county, then we have other tools and programs that we need to get people into so they can start getting on the path towards housing. Here in San Rafael, we used our American Rescue Plan dollars to create the SAFE team. It's a mental mobile health crisis team. The county had one. It was not serving the folks on our streets the way that we needed it to. So we funded, with our ARPA dollars, this program because we realized that having a trauma-informed individual respond to folks in crisis is sometimes better than having a police officer there. In addition, we passed several ordinances that regulate time, place, and manner. If it's too tense, it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. But there's less harm that happens to each other and to the surrounding community. When they get larger, the calls for service to police and fire go through the roof. Every single ordinance that we have passed, we have been sued. We've been under a federal temporary restraining order for the last year. It just got raised 3 weeks ago. So we're going to continue to look at all the tools in the toolbox, programs, mental health support, housing, legal tools, and bring them all together because it's not a one-size-fits-all. The sanctioned camping area will be another way that we can get people stable and so they can go on their next step for housing. Thank you.
Can the people who didn't hear me before, can you guys hear me now? I just want to make sure I'm speaking loud enough. Okay, great, thanks. Economic recovery in San Rafael has been uneven since the pandemic. What actions will you take to spur economic development in this city?
Sorry, we're a little unclear on the format here. Economic development. So I have an MBA. I think I'm one of the only council members that served with. You have an MBA. We have 2 MBAs up here. So when I was on the council beforehand, I really wanted an economic strategic plan so we could have a 5, 10, 20-year horizon of what we want to do. That was one of the first actions I took as mayor. We now have an approved economic strategic plan. And it's not just a plan that's like, oh, we did it, let's go sit it on the shelf. We're actually implementing it. Go figure. And we're doing the basics right now. So the 3 things that we're doing, we have a one-door policy. When you want to open or retain or start a business in San Rafael, you have to call this agency, this department, and it's confusing and it takes time. We now have a one-door policy. It's called the GO program. No matter who you are, you call that one number, and then internally, we will help route and support your call. Second thing, we have an empty storefront program. I know they're empty storefronts, and I know there's some prominent ones, but let me tell you, there are a lot of new businesses. I get a little feisty about that because we have Q the Core, we have new jewelry stores. There's a lot of new businesses that are coming in downtown. I know because I walk there every day. And I'm also hoping that what uplifts our downtown is by having people shopping there. Do not buy your books on Amazon. Go to Copperfield. If we want a vibrant downtown, we need to show up and actually do our part in terms of consuming or going out to eat and doing things like that. And then the third thing is we've had a business improvement district. We are exploring right now going to a property business improvement district, which is a fancy way of saying instead of asking for dollars from the businesses, you ask them from the property owners. It enables a larger funding pot. Sausalito just passed one. There's one in the East Bay, and it'll enable the heart of the downtown to really grow. And I'll close by saying the downtown is our heart, but our muscle is East San Rafael. Big box stores, car dealerships, we meet with them on a regular basis to make sure that they have what they need to succeed as well. And I am convinced that 4 years from now, we'll continue to see the economic growth continue in San Rafael. Thank you.
And I'll pick up right from there and talk about when I first came on the council. One of the things that Mayor Kate and I did when we could was do a walkabout. And we went to the businesses. So District 4, if you're not familiar with that, that's North San Rafael. So that's the Terra Linda area. And that is prime for new economic development. So where we have a lot of economic opportunities in the east, and we see it downtown and central, it's huge, and we're in north. And mostly we're looking at Northgate, right? So that's obviously one of the big items that's going to be coming towards. I'm going to be careful how much I talk about it. How much it's going to be coming towards us very soon. But we also have lots of new restaurants with Ounces in Monk's Kettle, and over on the other side of the freeway of the Redwood Highway, there's a lot of people looking right now on seeing that is a lot of opportunity for economic growth, because they're seeing the fact that we have development happening in the area, and development and housing then spurs new economic and business. So really looking forward to the work that's going to be happening in North San Rafael and being able to support that. We need economic to strive across the entire city, and it's going to be very, very, there's going to be a lot of changes. It's going to look very different in 10 years.
Sorry, all I was saying was that we are going to move to the next candidates, but you guys are going to stay where you are in case we have some extra time to pummel you some more.
Okay, go. Great. One of the issues that the College of Marin, like many schools in the Bay Area, is grappling with is a decline in new enrollment. What initiatives or strategies would you support to attract new students to COM?
Crystal. Crystal goes first.
Thank you. I'm actually really glad you asked this question. We recently just learned that our enrollment is back to pre-COVID numbers, which means we're doing some things really well. And it doesn't mean that there isn't room to grow. And I think some of my platform issues include ways to increase enrollment numbers. And a lot of that includes re-engaging students at different phases in their lives. I don't know about you, but I spent 10 years in community college. And it was a journey. And luckily, I stuck with it. But there are other folks that, for one reason or another, may find themselves in a life circumstance that may need a touch, that may need a reason to go back. And we can be that reminder for them of COM is still there for you. You still have educational goals that you want to achieve, and we can help you with that. And we have the services to support you in your educational journey. I would also like to see, the other thing I want to mention is that over 80% of our students are residents of Marin County, which means that we have an opportunity to go into the high schools and through our Compass program to really start showing that community college is a first choice option and really selling it that way. Who doesn't want to save on college tuition, right? Rather than, I would love for my college debt to go away. I would love for somebody to figure that out. But if at the start, we can help them with an affordable, accessible education and get 2 years out of the way before you transfer and have enormous successful transfer rates to UCs, then I think that's an extremely compelling case for our residents and even those outside of our county to see us as an attractive place to get an education. And I think that's a great way to grow our enrollment numbers. Thank you.
See what I mean? I have nothing to add. No, I'm kidding. So it's great because declining enrollment is actually a countrywide issue. It's not a Marin County issue. It's not a College of Marin issue. However, as she stole my thunder, as Crystal said, we have actually been successful in bringing our enrollment back up to pre-COVID, which is remarkable. It is remarkable in the state, the things that we have done. It's because of the leadership that we have in this board and with our new superintendent president, who has been so deeply steeped in our community. We are all very, very engaged in our community. And that has made a huge difference in expanding opportunities. Crystal alluded to this, the Compass program, College of Marin providing access to student support. It is a program that is specific to mostly first generation college students in high school. So they come out of high school with college credits. They come to high school, or from high school to College of Marin with no debt. In other words, they do their first year with no tuition. We have developed wraparound services to help reduce and eliminate barriers for students. Food shortages, housing, all types of support. This is especially important for what I would call the younger students. But then the older students, people who want a career change, letting them know the value that this institution brings to them. Sometimes it just takes some reminding to people, but we have been doing a remarkable job of expanding our reach to the students, and we will continue to do so.
College of Marin serves a diverse student population. Students have varying degrees of ability, life experience, and preparation. Outside of academic services, how can the College of Marin staff and Board of Trustees support its students to help them achieve their goals?
You get to go first.
Excellent. So we have this great program called Com Cares, and it is a program that was recently introduced last 2 years, if I remember correctly. Time melds together in my head. But the program is specifically intended to watch students and pay attention to students and notice if they're falling behind, not only academically, but emotionally, all aspects of their life, to be able to reach out and give them the support immediately, not wait until the semester is over or wait until midterms. So that has had a very profound impact on students directly. They are able to feel connected. I mean, belonging is key. Helping a student feel as though they believe in this community. We have these wonderful learning communities, all sorts of different types of students. So no matter what type of student, or no matter your ethnicity or your gender or your orientation, whatever, we have a community there that supports you. And this is something we've been doing for many, many years. It's not just a new idea. We've been recognized for our DEI work long before it became a thing. We just had our investiture of our new superintendent president, and Walter Turner, who has taught at our facility, our institution, for I believe close to 50 years, was talking about the work we've been doing as an institution long before George Floyd. Long before a lot of people were like, oh, maybe we should pay attention to this. This is something that is near and dear to our hearts, but to us, diversity is everything. There is not one normal, typical student. Every single person stands out on their own and gets the support they need. Very proud of that work.
Thank you for that question, and I'm going to go with the Love Fest. It is an absolute honor to work with you, and really hard to follow that.
See how I feel?
Yes.
All right, okay.
But the good news is that College of Marin has so many programs to help students and to provide a sense of belonging and to reduce barriers. And I just want to mention a few things. So over 60% of our students are BIPOC. which means that we have to be culturally responsive as we look at programs and how we create that sense of belonging on campus. I will say one of the things I'm most proud of is that we have affinity groups, including Emoja, and we have organizations that people can join where they can have small group settings and have similar lived experiences and have that true college experience that folks are looking for. I recently went to the annual student body's welcoming event, Comchella.
You can pause for a second.
Okay.
Whose phone is this?
No worries. I'm flexible.
Thank you, Emily. All right.
Okay, so back to Comchella. This is an event that's put on every year to welcome the students in the fall, and it includes a DJ. Last year it had a bounce house and food, and it's really like when you go onto a college campus and you're looking for that way to be included immediately, this is that event. I enjoy it every year. There's also the all-student body, right? And they're a great group of students that are there to help welcome other students and get them connected. And we also have lots of opportunities for services so that clothing isn't a barrier. There's free clothing that's available. There's food through our food pantry service that's there once a week. And in addition to that, we had our student trustee last year start a community fridge. Talk about a sense of belonging. And then the last thing I want to leave you with is that College of Marin received recognition recently for their equity work. And it's a very competitive process, and I am so proud.
And zero.
The Las Gallinas Sanitary District provides sanitary sewer treatment and recycled water services to 30,000 residents. Please discuss your approach to environmental stewardship and reducing the district's carbon footprint.
So our district is engaged in a great deal of work every month. We have 2 meetings a month. This month, I just got back from a conference from the California Sanitary District Association in Indian Wells, California, where we met with other special districts throughout the state to discuss all of these processes that we're involved in. And when I got home this evening, I came home to an email that said our packet for next month's meeting was 365 pages to go over. There's so much process and procedure that we go through all of the time. We are working not only with providing recycled water to the community and, of course, waste management. We're also involved in a biosolids program where we're using the biosolids to fertilize local fields rather than have them end up in landfills. We have ongoing efforts for our infrastructure, and we are also currently engaged in a brand new solar project. We're using biofuel and increasing that process all the time. It is my goal to ensure that we do more to educate our own board. I'm new to this board. I got here in May. I was appointed, and I'm going to be asking for 2 things: succession planning and onboarding, so that we can be more effective as a board. We're doing really great work as it stands now. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. What role does the sanitary district what role does the sanitary district have in responding to sea level rise? Are there risks facing the district, opportunities?
Climate change is one of our biggest initiatives. I happen to be sitting on the committee that is working on building a new lab and education center. We are working with a great architectural team from Berkeley, Knoll and Tam Architects. And so one of the reasons why we're doing this is because I don't know if you know where our facility sits in Las Gallinas, but we're right at the bay's edge, Miller Creek, and there are definitely flooding issues as climate change gets more extreme. So we will be raising that facility. That's one of the things we're working on. And we're looking at other effects of climate change with respect to the actual plant itself and all of the infrastructure that we have. I had mentioned that we're building a new solar system. It will be elevated higher than the previous system as a result of climate change. I think that the board has, in its strategic plan, we have addressed climate change and will be working with other agencies throughout the community. We just looked at a community-wide program which addresses other hazards, fire, climate change, wind, wet winters. So we're looking at all of those things because our plant is actually very vulnerable and we really have no choice but to come up with the solutions that we can consider to mitigate for all of the effects of climate change. Thank you.
How are you working to improve student mental health on campus? Do you believe that new school policies that remove cell phones from the classroom are a solution to poor mental health and poor academic performance, or does it hinder student safety in the case of an emergency?
Thank you. Good question. And I'll start with sort of a little bit of background. When we went through COVID, one of the big initiatives for our district was to ensure that we had proper mental health services for kids that were coming back. And just 6 months ago, we had to go through major budget cuts. We dug deep and hard to ensure that those remained. I think the mental well-being of the children in our schools has really benefited us in the development of their skills and the development of them as young adults. And we will continue to fight really, really hard to maintain those services as long as they are, as long as we possibly can. I do think technology can really, really impact the development of these kids. We try to establish no cell phones. There's a, no like phone till 8th or something program, so that we encourage, because we really leave it up to a lot of parents. We encourage parents to try to keep the phones away from the kids until they're at least in 8th grade. There's a no cell phone or technology Apple Watches that are in the classrooms. We support all of that. At the end of the day, it's about education. It really, for us, when it comes to things like that, we can only do so much within the board, within the school district, while they're on campus. But if they have unfettered access to some of the social media services that they shouldn't at that age, it can really negative impact their own sort of self-well-being. So we are doing a lot of education to parents on a regular basis to try to sort of keep all of that in mind as they are thinking about, the connection that they want to have with their kids during the day.
With new housing in the pipeline for the district, in particular around Northgate, are you willing to look at changing the district boundaries to even out the distribution of students between Vallecito and Lucas Valley Elementary? Please share your thoughts on the potential increase in housing on the Miller Creek School District.
Yes. Oh gosh, big topic. We welcome the housing, right? We need the housing. We welcome it. We want, especially the more low-income housing, we want the diversity in our neighborhoods. It's been, I think someone said 50 years since we've had anything happening in our area when it comes to housing. So we welcome all of that. But we have been closely monitoring all of these plans because we truly believe that it has to be done in partnership with our community and with the developers that are working. Part of what we are seeing and part of what we are pushing back on is there's a lack of careful consideration of the impact of new housing developments on the schools beyond the environmental items. We believe that schools should be considered right alongside. So as the housing starts to develop, we've been looking at this for 2 years now, year and a half to 2 years now. We are being really cautious. We're keeping everything on the table, from updating each one of our schools and upgrading to creating new classrooms to depending on how many people and when they sequence in, potentially building a new school. So some of that may come with reorganizing the way that the district lines work. Some of it may come from potentially repurposing some of the spaces that we currently have along the district, including our own the district office, where we have some kindergartners there, so we may move some people there. There's a lot to be considered, and I think fortunately it seems like it's being phased in, so we can be careful and cautious with the impact that it's going to have on our school community, because again, it will impact not just the kids coming in, but all the kids that are there today, right? We have to keep class sizes small legally, so we want to do whatever we can to sort of adjust our district to accommodate this new influx of people.
Well, thank you all. That's the end of the question. So you get to do a 1-minute closing statement, and we're going to start with Rachel.
Thanks. I was elected to San Rafael City Council to focus on the issues that matter most to our community. I've worked hard to ensure residents' concerns are always heard. I've been an advocate for our neighborhoods and the city as a whole. I am committed to making San Rafael more vibrant, inclusive, and resilient. My passion areas include, right now, working on Marin wildfire, this year I am the president, addressing the need for more affordable housing, and developing solutions to help those experiencing homelessness. Through all these issues I have a lens of equity for our low-income, marginalized residents, as well as our ever-growing older adult population. I am happy to have the endorsements of Congressman Huffman, Senator McGuire, Assemblymember Conley, all the county and Marin supervisors, my whole fellow council members, many community members, North Bay Labor Council, and the firefighters. I look forward to and welcome the endorsement of the Marin Women's PAC, and I appreciate being here this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, we're going that way. Kate gets to sweep.
Deer in the headlight.
See, I'm perfect for this. It has been an absolute privilege to serve on an extremely effective board. We all bring different lived experience, but we share the same North Star. I am deeply committed to ensuring that every student has the opportunity to thrive in Marin County, and that it remains a hub where education flourishes, fostering a path to future success. Because that's what we want to see. We want to see our young folks stay in our county and reinvest. Together, we can build on nearly a century of College of Marin's legacy. How many people here went to College of Marin? You are part of the legacy, and if you don't know it, we're going to be celebrating our centennial in 2026, and I expect all of you to party with us. I'm honored to have the support of the Democratic Central Committee of Marin, North Bay Labor Council, Marin Professional Firefighters, California Senate President Pro Tem Mike McGuire, Assembly Member Connolly, all 5 supervisors. Okay, and I hope to have yours. Thank you.
Well, I was going to say what she said, but I can't. I don't have all of those endorsements. I'm close, though. I just want to say that I understand this role. I understand what the role of a college trustee is. It's different from a K-12 trustee. Don't get the opportunity to have an office on campus. We're a policy board, and what we put together help drive the direction of the college for many years to come. So it's a very strategic role. I understand this. I've been executing it for 13 years, and I want to continue doing so. I have the endorsements of Eric Lucan and Dennis Rodoni, the the supervisors of my area. I have the endorsement of John Carroll and Mary Jane Burke, both the current and the former Marin County Superintendent of Schools. I have the endorsement of David Wayne Kuhn, the former president of College of Marin, plus many others, DCCM and North Bay Labor Council. I hope I get your endorsement as well. Thank you.
So as I said, I was appointed to the board in May. And at that same time, there were 3 of us who applied for the position. And today, one of the people who applied is now my opponent. He didn't come to join us tonight, but he's my opponent. And I can't thank him enough because he's given me the opportunity to meet with you folks to understand what our great public servants go through all the time in running an election. I'm not exactly a young guy. I'm running my first election. Having said that, I have the endorsements of Damon Connolly, Mary Sackett, Eric Lucan, North Bay Labor Council, North Bay Building and Construction Trades Council, Teamsters Local 665 North, 2 of my board members, Megan Clark and Crystal Yesman, Patty Garbarino, Rachel Kurtz, thank you very much, Rachel, and the Marin County Professional Firefighters. Thank you very much.
You can finish your sentence and ask for our endorsement.
I'm very pleased to be here tonight, and I'm excited to serve in the community, and I would appreciate your endorsement. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to lose my spot here. I'm going to close with something a little personal. As a male volunteering in a female-dominated industry such as school, I believe that the example men set as leaders has a significant impact on the next generation. Studies suggest that up to 50% of a child's learning comes from observing and mirroring the behavior of the adults around them, especially parents, teachers, and community leaders. Every interaction is an opportunity to model the values of respect, inclusion, and integrity. While I focus on instilling these values in my own daughter and son, I've witnessed that many boys in our community may not have the same role models. That's why I strive to set an example for all students, but especially demonstrating how our boys in our classrooms can be champions of equality and respect for the women in their community. Through my work on the board and in the schools, I aim to show that everyone has a role to play in fostering a community where all voices are heard and valued. If you'd like to learn more about me, visit voteforfranco.com. Thank you for listening, and respectfully ask for your support and endorsement tonight. Just in time.
Well done.
I'll bring it on home. Yeah, well, thanks again to MWPAC for providing the opportunity for candidates throughout Marin to sit up here and answer questions over 3 different nights. It reminds me that campaigning is a different skill set than governing and leading the community. So in addition to the answers I gave tonight, I sit here with my past 4 years as mayor and the previous 8 years as council member behind me and as my record. Through those years, I have taken action with courage and compassion, and those values will continue to guide me. You're going to hear some same names. We have been endorsed by every one of my council colleagues, every Marin County supervisor, Congressman Huffman, Senator McGuire, and Assembly Member Connolly. It would be awesome to add the MWPAC to that list because it would mean that you see all the work that I'm doing and you're standing behind me and you want me to keep at it. Thank you.
Thank you to all of you. You are all free to step down from the dais. And so that is it for our questions and our candidates. We will be starting our members-only caucus in about a minute. If you are a candidate that was being interviewed tonight, you cannot stay in the room. You can hang out in the lobby, but you can't stay in the room. And if you're a member that doesn't want to stay and has not turned in their ballot, Emily is standing at the back. You can give her your ballot.